Hello, all the dear ones out there. How are you all? Hope you are all well. So, today we are going to start a new lesson from your English textbook, that is the Taros Reward. So, let's start our lesson. This is the picture of Taros Reward lesson. So, a young woodcutter named Taro lived with his mother and father on a lonely hillside. Okay, all day long he chopped wood in the forest. Though he worked very hard, he earned very little. This money made him sad, for he was a thoughtful son and wanted to give his old parents everything they needed. One evening, when Taro and his parents were sitting in a corner of their hut, a strong wind began to blow. It whistled through the cracks of the hut, and everyone felt very cold. Suddenly, Taro's father said, I wish I had a cup of shake. It would warm me and do my old heart good. This made Taro sadder than ever, for the heart-warming drink called shake was very expensive. How do I earn more money? He asked himself. How do I get a little shake for my poor old father? He decided to work harder than before. Next morning, Taro jumped out of bed earlier than usual and made his way to the forest. He and cut, chopped and cut as the sun climbed, and soon he was so warm that he had to take off his jacket. His mouth was dry and his face was wet with sweat. My poor old father, he thought. If only he was as warm as I, and with that he began to chop even faster, thinking of the extra money he must earn to buy the shake to warm the father or to warm the old man's bones. Then suddenly Taro stopped chopping. What was the sound he heard? Could it be, could it possibly be rushing water? Taro could not remember ever seeing or hearing a rushing stream in that part of the forest. He was thirsty. The axe dropped out of his hands and he ran in the direction of the sound. Taro saw a beautiful little waterfall hidden behind a rock, kneeling at a place where the water flowed quietly. He cupped a little in his hands and put it to his lips. Was it water or was it shake? He tasted it again and again, and always it was the delicious shake instead of cool water. Taro quickly filled the pitcher he had with him and hurried home. The old man was delighted with the shake. After only one swallow of the liquid, he stopped swimming and did a little dance in the middle of the floor. That afternoon, a neighbor stopped by for a visit. Taro's father politely offered her a cup of the shake. The lady drank it greedily and thanked the old man. Then Taro told her the story of the magic waterfall. Thanking them for the delicious drink, she left in a hurry. By nightfall, she had spread the story throughout the whole village. That evening, there was a long procession of visitors to the woodcutter's house. Each man heard the story of the waterfall and took a sip of the shake. In less than an hour, the pitcher was empty. Next morning, Taru started for work even earlier than the morning before. He carried with him the larger pitcher he owned, for he intended first of all to go to the waterfall. When he reached it, he found to his great surprise all his neighbors there. They were carrying pitchers, jars, buckets, anything they could find to hold the magic shake. Then one villager knelt and held his mouth under the waterfall to drink. He drank again and again, and then shouted angrily, Water? Nothing but water. Others also tried, but there was no shake, only cold water. We have been tricked, shouted the villagers. Where is Taro? Let us drown him in this waterfall. But Taro had been wise enough to sleep behind a rock. When he saw how things were going, he was nowhere to be found. Muttering their anger and disappointment, the villagers left the place one by one. Taro came out from his hiding place. Was it true? He wondered. Was it actually the sick was to be the cold water? Was the shake a dream? Once more he caught a little liquid in his hand and put it to his lips. It was the same fine shake. To the thoughtful son, the magic waterfall gave the delicious shake. To everyone else, it gave only cold water. The story of Taro and his magic waterfall reached the Emperor of Japan. He sent for the young woodcutter and rewarded him with 20 pieces of gold for having been so good and kind. Then he named the most beautiful fountain in the city after Taro. This, said the emperor, was to encourage all children to honor and obey their parents. So, the moral of the story is that we should obey our parents. Not only parents, we should also obey and respect our parents, our elders, our teachers. So, this is the moral of this story. So, what is the summary of this story? Let's see. There was a young woodcutter and he lived with his old parents. He wanted to have shake but could not since he was very poor and that drink was pretty expensive. One day, while cutting up trees in a forest, he heard the sound of a waterfall and he went towards it. After drinking from it, he understood that it was indeed shake. He filled a pitcher with him and took it home. One day, a visitor came to visit him and Taro told him about the shake. The next morning, when the villagers came to fill their pitchers with shake, they only found water and was really angry with Taro. After the villagers went away, Taro tasted it and saw it was the same shake. The story, upon reaching the emperor, made him reward Taro. So this is the summary of the story. Now let's see what are the difficult words we have found in this prose. First one is the chop. Chop means cut into pieces. Then cracks. Cracks means narrow gaps, openings. Then shake. Shake means a popular Japanese drink. Then expensive means costly. Made his way to means went to. Cupped a little in his hands means took some water in his hands. Then delicious means very tasty. Then pitcher means a pot usually made of mud. Okay. Then greedily means as if desiring more and more. Then intended means planned. Then tricked means deceived. Then muttering means speaking unclearly. Then sent for means called. So thank you. This is about our prose, Taros Reward. Hope you understand this prose very well. So thank you.